So I've decided to start doing videos in the morning rather than at night because I've noticed on my videos they sometimes will, because I'm doing them at night, they'll sometimes start getting dark because it's getting dark so early now. And so the beginning of the video, the lighting will be great, and then at the end of the video, the lighting will not be good because it's getting dark and it'll just turn into audio vlog rather than a video. So I wanted to share with you about my disability, cerebral palsy, how it affects me, what I do differently because I have cerebral palsy, and how I cope with having it on a day-to-day basis. Well, I would say for me, one of the biggest parts of my life now, I'm 25, is work. I do work every day, but recently, about 9 months ago, I got laid off, and I had a good job that I was happy with the amount of income I was making, and I was also pleased with what I was doing because I wasn't doing anything physically demanding. So I was kind of thinking about working there for my entire life. I worked there for like 6 years. I got my bachelor's degree. I thought I'd be there for a lot longer, like I said, and it didn't work out. I don't like to say where I worked because I don't want them to. I mean, I still like them. I might go back there eventually, but that was kind of a terrifying moment for me slightly because I realized it's going to be a little bit harder for me to get a job simply because I have cerebral palsy. Even if it's a desk job, sometimes they make people carry stuff, and just going to interviews are difficult for me because they're uncomfortable for me with walking and everything. So I was nervous a little bit, but a few months later I got a job, and it's worked out good, and I liked it, but I figured I could do something better. So I've now got a new job, and both of the jobs I had were desk jobs. So, and the one I'm at currently is a desk job. So I would just say financially supporting yourself if you're a younger person is definitely going to be a difficult thing to do with cerebral palsy, but I would just definitely encourage you to get a bachelor's degree at least, because they can really help you if you're looking around and it's hard for you to find a desk job because they're hard to come by. A lot of people want those. I think it's important you get educated to support yourself financially. I know there's programs out there, but for me, I don't use the disability system, and I mean, I do certainly support it, or I do to a certain point support it. However, in my situation, I don't think I have a severe enough case where I don't need to work at all, and I realize I can make more money when I work rather than just not doing anything. So that's why I choose to work, and I think that's a very important part of my life is working, at least right now. Obviously, eventually I want to have a family and have my own house. I still live at home, but I think that's another thing that's important. If you have good parents, as my parents are great, I think it's important you stay there for a while at your parents' home. I lived there at college because it lets you build up a financial base, and that's, I think, very important to have when you venture out on your own and you support a family, which eventually is something I plan to do. And you never know, someday it might get to the point where you can't work, so you want to start out at a good with a good nest egg before you move out. I think being physically active rather than just sitting around not doing anything. I mean, obviously at work, like for me, I sit down all the time, but I mean, other than that, I do a lot of therapy and stretches and other things that I think definitely are important for me to do, because if I didn't do anything, my legs wouldn't really work. It'd be harder to get around rather than most people if they didn't do any physical therapy. So I think physical therapy is important, and even if you don't go to a physical therapist, I personally don't, but I've established a routine that I regularly do, stretching and then walking, and I think it really helps. So I think that's important to do. I also think it's just important psychologically to get ahead. You gotta just understand that things are going to be more difficult, and sometimes people might look at you funny, but it's just important to realize that that's just part of the disability. The most important thing to realize and be happy about is living in a first world country, if you do. And I'm assuming if you're watching this video, you probably do live in America. I think most of my followers and subscribers are from the United States, so that's something to be happy about if you have cerebral palsy, because some third world countries, you probably wouldn't be alive right now if you had a disability. So I think it's important to realize that living in the United States is a great opportunity for anybody, and especially if you have cerebral palsy, it allows you to not really be discriminated against in the workplace. And overall, as a country, I would say people support others with disabilities for the most part pretty well. I think it's just to have a good attitude about it. As long as you are able to survive and you have your means, just have a good attitude about having cerebral palsy, and I'm sure you'll get through it, because it's not as bad. As long as it's like my severity or a little bit less, or even slightly more, even if you're wheelchair bound. I know there's plenty of opportunities for those sort of people. So hope you enjoyed the video, and thanks for watching.